In Unit 2, we continue our discussion of what international relations is all about by examining the basic framework or system of interaction of the states. Now, the world of 7.7 billion people is divided into political territories with fixed borders that we call states. As we discussed last class, they are the main actors in global affairs for several reasons, although non-state actors like the UN, multinational corporations, and non-governmental organizations also play a significant role in some limited areas. But how did a community of states come about? It wasn't always that way. Before the existence of states, there were different kinds of kingdoms and tribal units that lacked fixed borders. You have a reading that describes how societies interacted in earlier periods, before the agreement on a system of states. It was a very disorganized, chaotic, and often violent interaction. In the 8th to 11th centuries, Viking tribes roamed far and wide in the European region, looting, pillaging, killing, carrying away women without regard to borders or the political rights of local governing authorities. We are going to look at how this international system of states with fixed borders developed. First, however, what do we mean by an international system? Well, you can think of a system as a network of things connected with one another that tend to interact in predictable ways. A computer system is a good example. You type a command, the computer responds with the same action all the time, most of the time at least. You also see examples in biological systems where you have different cells and organs that interact in predictable ways. These are not perfect analogies to the international system of states. State actions are not always predictable, but there are similarities between these systems and the international systems of states that has developed over the past 200 to 300 years. In international relations, we call this system the Westphalian International System of States because its basic elements were established some 370 years ago after the Peace of Westphalia in 1648. Some of you who have studied European history may recall that in Central Europe, mainly today's German area, this region experienced 30 years of nearly continuous war in the 1600s. The peace that ended these wars in 1648, the Peace of Westphalia, created basic rules that laid the foundation of how the international system of state functions today. Two of the most important rules of the Westphalian system are, first, the right of sovereignty, the absolute right of a state to manage its internal affairs without outside interference. And second, the right of territorial integrity, the right of states to have its borders respected. Remember these terms. They are two basic rules that had created a measure of order in the world that was characterized by disorder before that time. Now, this system is a European-based system, and that's something to keep in mind. These basic rules did not exist in other parts of the world. For example, in Africa, which was at the time a collection of tribal societies, and also the Middle East and large parts of Asia. In fact, in most of the world. But during the late 1800s and 1900s, the Westphalian international system spread around the world to incorporate virtually all regions and all political entities. Keep in mind this when you look at the political map today, that large regions of the world were European colonies in the mid-1900s. States in these regions are relatively new, only 60 to 70 years old. The US, in contrast, is over 230 years old. This is something that you will want to reflect on. It is not surprising that many relatively new states, for example in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, have difficulty fitting in to the Westphalian international system, a system they had no voice in creating. As we will see, the rules of sovereignty and territorial integrity are a particular problem for multi-ethnic, multi-tribal, multi-religious states. Many of these states have social and political issues that cross borders today that cannot be resolved under these Westphalian rules. Nonetheless, understanding these two basic Westphalian rules, sovereignty and territorial integrity, still helps us understand to a large extent why states interact the way they do. Reflect on these rules and conflicts that exist today with Israel, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, India, China, Taiwan, African countries. So this is a very interesting topic to begin our course and to reflect on their implications. Again, focus on the term Westphalian international system. You will see the term used often in articles you read about international relations.